Dr. Talia Winters wiped the nutrient solution from her hands, surveying the xenobotany lab aboard Transit Station Meridian. Another day cataloging samples from Frontier Worlds, another day of routine. The airlock chimed, admitting her newest specimen delivery. What she didn't expect was the Vrykal ambassador. The reptilian predator stood nearly 8 feet tall, scales gleaming obsidian black. His species had conquered 14 systems through pure military might. They were apex hunters, feared negotiators, and they didn't visit xenobotanists without reason. Behind him, clutching his armored leg, was a cub. "Dr. Winters," the ambassador rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. "I am War Master Thexanal. This is my daughter, Kiranil." The cub peered at Talia with golden eyes too large for her small face. She couldn't have been more than 5 in human years, her scales still soft and mottled. "Hello," Talia said gently, crouching down. "What can I do for you?" Thexanal's throat sac expanded, a sign of deep emotion among his kind. "You already have. You simply don't remember." He activated a hollow projector. Images flickered to life. A world of red sand and purple skies. Vrykal warriors in ceremonial armor. And in the center, a human woman with dark hair, kneeling beside a small, wounded creature. 22 years ago, Thexanal began. Your research vessel made an emergency landing on Vrykal Prime. Your crew needed repairs. Our people were not welcoming. We saw you as weak, potential prey. Talia studied the hologram. The woman looked vaguely familiar, like glimpsing yourself in an old photograph you'd forgotten. "Your captain," he continued. "Lieutenant Jessica Rains. She wandered from your ship despite warnings. She found a hunting party's abandoned kill site. And there, dying in the sand, she found me." The cub whimpered. Thexanal rested a clawed hand on her head. "I was 7 seasons old. A training accident had left me bleeding, overlooked in the chaos. Your captain had no medical equipment for Vrykal physiology. Our biology was completely unknown to her. But she didn't leave." The hologram shifted, showing the woman tearing her own shirt for bandages, using plant sap from nearby vegetation to seal wounds. "For 6 hours, she kept me alive using nothing but observation and determination. She studied the plants around us, tested their properties on her own skin first. She created a coagulant from 3 different species of flora, a mixture our own scientists later couldn't believe worked. When my family's search party found us, I was alive. She was exhausted, burned by acidic sap, but alive." Talia's throat tightened. "What happened to her?" She said, "He's just a kid. Anyone would have done the same." Then she returned to her ship. "You departed before we could properly thank her, before we could explain what she'd done." Thexanal touched another control. The hologram showed a gathering of Vrykal, thousands strong. "In our culture, a child of the War Master caste is more than an individual. I was the only heir to the Thex bloodline, the family that had led our military for 40 generations. If I had died that day, our entire command structure would have collapsed. Civil war would have followed. Your captain saved not just me, but our entire civilization." Kiranil stepped forward, extending something to Talia, a small vial of shimmering liquid. "That is her blood sample," Thexanal explained. "She gave it for our medical database so we could help humans if needed. We kept it, studied it. And 3 days ago, you submitted your annual health screening to the station's medical bay. The genetic markers matched." Talia's hand trembled as she took the vial. "I'm related to her?" "Her niece. We searched your family records. Jessica Rains died 8 years ago in a shuttle accident. She never married, had no children. But she told her brother stories. Stories about alien worlds, about a young creature she'd saved. Your uncle told you those stories before he passed." Memories surfaced. Uncle Jack's tales, the fantastical adventures she'd half believed as a child, the woman who'd inspired her to reach for the stars. "I never knew it was real," Talia whispered. "We spent 2 decades searching for her," Thexanal said. "When we finally located her, we learned we were too late. But you carry her legacy. Not just her blood, but her actions. We've monitored your career, Dr. Winters. You've shared your research freely with species others ignore. You've developed crops that saved colonies from famine. You do not seek glory. Kiranil tugged at Talia's lab coat. In halting, carefully practiced English, she said, "You save things, like grandmother who saved father." Talia's eyes burned. She knelt, meeting the cub's gaze. "Your grandmother?" Thexanael's throat sac pulsed with pride. In Vrykal tradition, one who saves an heir is adopted into the family line, whether they know it or not. Jessica Rains is honored as my blood mother. That makes you family, Dr. Winters. That makes you Kiranil's aunt. The cub chirped hopefully. Talia looked at this impossible situation. A warrior species honoring a woman who'd simply refused to abandon a dying child. Her aunt had just been doing what felt right. She would have said it was nothing special, Talia said finally. Yes, Thexanael agreed. That is what makes humans extraordinary. You see a life that needs saving and you save it. You see a problem and you solve it. You call it nothing special while reshaping the fate of civilizations. Kiranil held up a small medallion, the Thex bloodline crest. Will you accept? Thexanael asked. Will you let us honor the connection your aunt created? Talia thought of her work, the samples waiting, the ordinary routine of discovery. She thought of a woman who'd stopped to save a stranger's child simply because it needed saving. I'd be honored, she said, accepting the medallion. But I still have work to finish today. Thexanael's throat sac vibrated with what might have been laughter. Of course, we would not dream of interrupting your duties. He paused. Perhaps Kiranil could assist? She is quite curious about your plants. The cub's eyes shone with excitement. As they worked together that afternoon, Talia teaching and Kiranil absorbing everything with rapturous attention, she understood. Her aunt hadn't saved a species through military might or political genius. She'd simply refused to let a child die alone. And somehow, 22 years later, that single act of ordinary kindness had echoed across the stars, creating bonds between worlds. Sometimes heroism wasn't about grand gestures. Sometimes it was about stopping when everyone else walked past. Sometimes it was about saying, he's just a kid, and meaning it. The Vrykal Empire would remember. And in the station's xenobotany lab, a new generation learned that same lesson, one plant sample at a time.